Hi guys, Loz here with another Shadowverse video. In this video I wanted to do a kind of deck tech video on the Face Dragon deck. So I mean this is a Dragoncraft deck, so when you think of Dragoncraft you think of ramping up and playing big, huge creatures in the late game. But actually the most effective deck, in my opinion in Shadowverse at the moment, is a Face Dragon deck. Which actually kind of resembles Face Hunter. It's very, you kind of just mash their face in with huge amounts of burst damage. It's a very, very, very fun deck. Just before I go into how this deck works, I just wanted to show you this. I mean, this is the when I very first started playing the deck. These are the first 12 matches that I actually played with Dragoncraft in ranked. They were all with this deck. So the first 12 matches I played with this deck at the rank I'm currently highest at, I won all 12 without ever having played this deck before. So I mean this deck is extremely powerful. It's not that difficult to play once you understand the deck strategy and how it works. But it is very, very fun, to play. So let's have a look at the deck. So I mean, initially looking at this deck you might think, well, why is it playing cards like Goblin, which is a vanilla 1/2 creature? Why is it playing cards like Sandstorm Dragon, which is just a vanilla 1/4 creature? These are essentially bad creatures. I mean, even Ivory Dragon in an aggressive deck doesn't really do much. I mean, it's just got 1/2 of stats. It doesn't do anything that you'd want it to do in kind of an aggressive deck. It doesn't have aggressive stats. It doesn't have Storm. Even this card, I mean, this is deal 1 to an enemy follower, so I mean, you can't use this aggressively. This is purely for tempo plays. This card, it's only got 1/2. It's a 2 mana card. It's not got aggressive stats at all. So I mean, you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, how the hell is this an aggro deck if it's got all these kind of weak minions in the early game? Well, this deck's actually quite special. It's quite different to other aggro decks. So essentially what you want to do in the early game is, I mean, this has got a lot of early game creatures. I mean, you can see like 26 of its cards are 1 or 2 drops, so over half of the deck's just trying to really make sure that you win turn 1 and 2. So I mean, it plays a lot of reasonably statted minions. So I mean, this is the highest stats you get at turn 1 pretty much. So with this deck you've got to kind of flood the board turns 1 to 3, and you almost certainly will win the board by turn 3, purely because you're playing a lot of minions that just stay around. I mean, this has got 1 to 4 stats, so it's quite hard to remove. Both of these two you can't really remove on turn 1. Turn 2 you can kind of start to remove them, but I mean, this deck kind of plays a lot of these sticky minions that are quite hard to remove. I mean, this is for fighting for board control, so you really want to fight for board control in this deck. You don't go aggressive for the first, I'd say, at least 3 turns. You need to kind of win the board. You need to have the board completely won by turn 3, 4. You play Blazing Breath as well to deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. So that's kind of helping you kind of take the board. You've got Mushu, which is a very annoying minion to play, follower to play against. So whenever another follower evolves, gain +2 0. So you really want to be playing this just before they get their evolve point, to make maximum use of it. So that means they're going to want to try and evolve a minion to get rid of it, but as soon as they evolve a minion to either clear one of your guys or clear this guy, it buffs it, makes him a 4/2. It's a very annoying minion to get rid of. I mean, you can even have it on the board, play one of your own minions, evolve it, and then it buffs this up as well. So that it's very flexible, and it's got decent stats. I mean, a 2/2/2 is about as good as you can hope for all stats, so this is a very good card. And then, now we move on to the second aspect of this deck. You have this card, Dragon Newt Scholar. So, for a start, this minion, this follower can't be attacked. So, that makes it very sticky, it makes it very hard to remove. You have to just use removal on this minion to get rid of it out of your hand. You can't attack into it to remove it. And whenever this follower attacks, it randomly discards one of the lowest cost cards in your hand, and then draws another card. So that kind of gives a double use to all these crappy cards. So I mean, these cards are very useful on turn 1 and 2 for winning you the board, but then after that turn they're kind of useless. You don't need them at all. So what this card will do is it will recycle them, and it will give you a card that's maybe more useful every time you attack with this card. So they kind of had a double use, all these other cards, because then you can just keep cycling them and getting better stuff. It also combos very nicely with this card, so whenever you discard a card from your hand, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. So if you play these two in conjunction, you're going to kind of chip away at their health every time this attacks. So say you're going face with this, it's going to be doing 2 damage a turn every time it attacks face. So you're just slowly chipping away in the early game while trying to control the board. And then you've got other cards for controlling the board. So you've got Angelic Barrage. This is a very useful card. Most people run at least one of this in most decks. It cleans out Forestcraft decks. It cleans out lots and lots of like the Swordcraft decks that kind of fill the board with lots of little 1/1s and 2/1s and things like that. So it's a very effective card, just wiping boards of loads of little minions, which are gonna be very annoying to you. Trinity Dragon. So this is another one that can't be attacked, but this one's got 2/2 stats. Another very annoying minion to deal with. Another good one to evolve, because 4/4 stats that they can't remove will just chip away at their health non-stop. It's very annoying to deal with. This is another one that's kind of for just to kind of get back some board control. You kind of want to play this after turn 4 once you evolve something, so you can get the true value out of it. These two are purely just for kind of like late game reach. So a lot of aggro decks will play this card because I mean you might hit turn 7, turn 8, where you've kind of expended your whole hand. They've kind of taken the board. They might have a ward up or something, but they're on very low health. They're on like 2-3 health. So they've just managed to stabilize, and this allows you to just push yourself over the line, just go straight for the face, which will just allow you to win. This is another Siegfried is another good card. I mean, quite likely they'll make a play where they'll play a huge minion, evolve it, like maybe a huge ward minion or some kind of huge minion, and they'll trade it into one of your guys, so they'll have a little bit of damage on them. So this will allow you to effectively remove that minion and then push for more damage. And then we've got the key elements of this deck, the key thing that makes this deck actually work. We've got Dark Dragoon Fort, which is an amazing card. I mean, unfortunately this deck runs 3 of them, so that's 10,500 vials just in this one card. But I mean, it is absolutely necessary, and you do really need to run 3 of these. Running any less than 3 and your win rate will just drop dramatically in percentage, so you really do need to be running 3 of this. So this card has got Storm. It's a 5/1 vanilla, so it can do 5 out of your hand. If you evolve it, it can do 7 out of your hand, which is insane for 6 mana. And then you've got this card. This card will put a random card that costs at least 5 play points from your deck into your hand. Well, lo and behold, the only card we've got that costs 5 or more is Dark Dragoon Fort. So this will put Dark Dragoon Fort in your hand and make it 5. So I mean, this deck you basically want to kind of survive, do a little bit of damage here and there, have the board won. If you lose the board on turn 5, doesn't matter, because you'll have drawn into your Dark Dragon Fort, and then you'll do 7 damage. And then turn 6 you'll have another Dark Dragon Fort hopefully, and then you'll do another 7 damage. So you do 14 damage over 2 turns, which is huge and will win you nearly every single game. If it comes to the fact that you haven't killed them on turn 6, I mean this deck, when I was playing it, almost always kills them by turn 6. It's incredible. You'll somehow just manage to have killed them on turn 6, and it's just crazy. Most decks try and aim for turn 7. Most aggro decks try and aim for a win on turn 7. This one nearly always kills them on turn 6. When I was playing it, it's just incredible. But if it does go to turn 7 and you get overflow, they can't trade into this follower. They have to remove it with removal, which at a 7/3 is quite hard for them to do. So I mean, if you play that on turn 7, it's just going to keep getting 7 damage into the face because they can't trade into it, they can't remove it. So that's the overall game plan really. I mean, you want to draw this sometime leading up to turn 5, and you want to play it, and then you want to play this on turn 5, and then ideally play it again on turn 6 to win you the game. All of these cards here are basically just trying to make sure that you don't lose the early game, that you keep some kind of board semblance. I mean, this has generally got the most powerful early game start that you can get. I mean, it basically guarantees that you're going to win the early game, and then you've got this amazing finisher that you'll hopefully be able to draw to finish off the game. So I mean, that's the deck. I'll do a ranked match now just to show you how it works.